Captain Evan Taypotat is a proud member of the CKES First Nation. He served Canada overseas in Afghanistan, and he is now the principal of the education center in his home community. He's proud of the work he does, and he's brought that school and that education center up to standards that is only seen in some of the best institutions across Canada. And we are proud to have him here today. So at this time, please put your hands together and welcome Captain Evan Taypotat.
Good morning. It's just it's awesome to be back within ITEP's territory. Just walking around and meeting some people. I met some fine folks from Sweetgrass down here, and see some of my other people. My staff is in the crowd. I got Arnold Constance girls from the Power here somewhere. It's just awesome to be back here. Before I get going, I just want to recognize a couple people. Number one, I want to recognize Yvette Arcand at the back. Yvette, you want to give us a wave? Yvette is the lady that helped me get through my BA, and she was the lady that paved the way for me to be here today. She pushed me through my 120 credits, and she made sure I got it done. And then the last person, obviously probably the guy behind ITEP, is Orest Morosky. Orest, you want to give us a wave, Orest? Orest is his Indian name is actually ITEP, so he's just that good at ITEP. So when you see him, you just call him by his Indian name, ITEP. Okay, so I was asked to be here today for a couple reasons. Number one, I'm the principal in my home community that I grew up in. And some of you in the crowd are doing that right now. So the goal for that is hopefully maybe you get a few ideas out of the things I do in my own community, because some of you are teaching your own community. The second thing I was asked to speak for is when I took over the school a year and a half ago, the school was going down the wrong road. So we've turned the train around, we're coming back down the good road, okay? So that's the second thing I was asked to speak about. And then the last thing I was asked to speak on is, obviously I spent some time in the Army, and I was in Afghanistan, and I want to talk a little bit about Afghanistan halfway through my presentation. So from that, I want to talk a little bit about my community. So I come from a small community, obviously Kakwish, southeast Saskatchewan, 500 people-ish on a good day. The school has about 185 kids in it, staff of 28, that includes the teachers, includes the bus drivers, includes the custodians. So we're kind of a small school, kind of a small community, and it works just well for us. So what I'm going to present today, it may not work in your community, but what I'm presenting on works in our community. So if at the end of it you come to me and say, that might not work because we have 1,000 students, okay, I get that, but what I'm going to speak to today is what I know. If there's one thing I've learned in the Army, it's speak to what you know, and I'm going to speak to what I know from our community. And so before we get going with the slides, I have to be very honest with you guys that I'm very blunt and I'm very to the point, and I don't mess around, and I think that's the mentality that I have to have as principal. So sometimes I say things that offend people, sometimes I say things that people don't agree with, and if that happens today, I apologize beforehand, and I hope there's people that disagree with me. And I just want to warn you because part of my residential upbringing and part of my Army upbringing made me this way, and that's just the way I am. Okay, so when I took over at CKES, and that's what I'm going to call my school, acronym is short for Chief Kakwish Community School. When I took over at CKES July 2013, there was a lot of problems at our school. I went there, I stood back, I assessed, and I asked the community members, I asked the teachers, and I asked the students, what's wrong with our school? Some things that came up, outside interference, all right? There was parents coming to our school, mad at teachers. There was even a parent that came to the school and shook up a student, physically touched a student. Outside interference. We have 2 tribal councils that help us, education authorities, Yorkton Tribal Council and Treaty 4. Those people help us. They were trying to tell me what to do in my school. That wasn't going to work at my school. Okay? I had to be the authority at my school. So they don't know. They're off in some building, and they didn't know, so I had to tell them to stand back, just let me get through this, and away we go. And outside interference, obviously chief and council. Does politics belong in a school? Not a chance, all right? I was lucky enough to inherit a job where the chief and council stayed out of the school, and I had to make sure that stayed that way, all right? Staff, problem with the staff. The good word, lateral violence, right? Everyone knows what that means, all right? My staff was lateral violence towards each other. Staff room was probably the most uneasy place to be, and staff talked disrespectful to the other staff members, and staff members even swore at students sometimes. And that's what I took over, all right? So there was a problem there, obviously. And obviously the students. I get there, students are very disrespectful. Students are swearing at teachers, students are fighting, and students are basically doing what they aren't supposed to be doing in a school setting, okay? So these are the problems that I saw from the get-go. And there was little things like drugs and bullying, and that stuff was there, but these are the ones that I'm gonna concentrate on for now, okay? So what did I do? I assessed. I stood back, I looked at the problem, and I didn't want to be that guy that just recognized the problem, because any fool can see a problem. But give me the guy that can see a solution, all right, that makes a solution, okay? So I assessed and I made a plan. The plan was, and still is today, year one, I was going to kick ass, all right? I was going to kick ass with my students, and I was going to kick ass with my staff, and anyone else that walked in my way, I was going to kick ass, right? Even my mom, if she came to my school, I was going to kick her ass too. But year one, jokes aside, year one, the plan was to kick butt, all right? And it had to be done. Year two, we were going to implement all the educational programs, the reading programs, the math programs, the phys ed programs, and all that good stuff. And that's where we are today. We're in year two phase. And then year three, we're going to continue to raise the educational level. Now, being the naive guy that I was, it probably should have been a 5-year plan, because next year we'll keep raising the educational level, but our reading programs aren't going to be where they need to be. So that's the plan. Very simple plan, foolproof plan, I think. So some of the solutions we found to the problems that I'm talking about: outside interference. All right, we installed an emergency school shutdown system. If I seen any community members coming into the school, or if someone called me and said, "I'm coming here to talk to that teacher," well, we installed a school shutdown plan, emergency plan, basically lockdown, everything shut down. All right. If so-and-so wants to be angry in our community, they can be angry outside in the playground, all right? YTC, Treaty 4, some of them are in a crowd. You know, YTC has been really good for us. Treaty 4 has been really good for us once we got on the same page. But they had to know where we stood. And now today, we're working hand in hand with YTC and Treaty 4, and they've been nothing but great help. But they now know that they don't run the school, I run the school, all right? And obviously, chief and council, right? I'm lucky enough to live in a community where the previous chief didn't bother us at the school, and the chief right now doesn't bother us at the school. And council stays out. I answer to our education committee, and I answer to education council. But they've never once turned me back on any one of my ideas, all right? They've let me run the way I saw fit. Staff, August 2013, I had my first staff meeting. When my staff walked into the science room, the night before, I'd laid out name cards on all the desks. And my staff walked the next day. They're like, "Are we supposed to sit in our name?" I'm like, "Yeah, sit where your name tag is." And they didn't know it then, but they know it now. The reason why I did that was they needed to know I was in charge. They would sit where I want them to sit. So they sat where their name tag was, and they did what I made them do that day. And that was the end of the story, right? Staff room now, it's still not as awesome as it could be, but staff room is a better place. We're getting there. Lateral violence, I have an open door policy. Anytime during the week, I may get a staff member in saying, so-and-so said something today that made me feel uneasy. Okay, well, we deal with those kind of things, right? Putting 28 different personalities together, there's always going to be friction somewhere along the way, okay? So we're dealing with that. Students, some of the solutions, the students basically, we had a couple little native syndicate guys in there that came right away, and there was a fight right away, and all my students videotaped it. And they uploaded it to Facebook. And that really made me mad that day. So from that day forward, we had a no-fight policy. Anyone ever fights in our school, ever, you're expelled from our school, right? Fighting has no place in a school setting system. And it made me even more so mad that 8 of my kids videotaped it and uploaded it, okay? Students, things like don't wear your hat, don't wear your hood. Those are little things. I actually like wearing a hat, and I like wearing a hood. It doesn't actually bother me, but the students need to know that we're in charge, and that's a little rule that we're going to make. So those are little things like that that I think if you do that within your school and let them know you're in charge, I think you'll be better off. Growing pains. Okay, obviously there's growing pains, right? The old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I said that to my staff that very first day. I said, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And then some of the older women kind of said, what the hell is he calling an old dog? And they kind of looked around. And then one of my EAs, Terry, stood up and said, I'm the dog, I'm the dog. Growing pains, they're going to be there. Not every day is going to be awesome. Not every day is going to be good to go. There's going to be staff staff friction that happen. But CKCS is a 10-year-old dog, and we are teaching it new tricks, so it can be done. So with my sweetgrass friends, yes, it can be done. You just got to have someone that's there that does the right things, right? I think in a school setting, there should be one bully, and that should be the principal. And it's a sad reality, but the principal has to be a bully to the kids when he has to be, and a principal has to be a bully to his staff when he has to be. So we're getting there. So here's a couple things we've installed this year to just kind of get some of my principals' minds thinking. Some of the things we did. So obviously we're in year 2 of the 3-year plan. Math solution. So what we found was a kid in grade 2 would have a homeroom teacher that was really awesome in math. Now, they teach social studies and ELA and all that good stuff. Then they would go to grade 3. The math teacher wouldn't be so good at math. So then they would go, year 3, down. Year 4, they'd have a good teacher, back up. Year 5, and then so on. So there was too much like this. So our solution to the math problem is we found 2 teachers that are really good at math amongst our staff, and I made them just solely math teachers. Elementary, just have 1 math teacher. So not only do they get a good math teacher, but also your teachers get a prep. And to my teachers in the crowd, how good are preps? Right. So something to think about in your school, amidst your budget, how you do it, how we do it at our school. K to 5 have their own math teacher that they go to, and then my middle years have their own math teacher that they go to, and they're just checked out math teachers. And I know already in year 2 of this, we are making strides already on math. Reading program, my good friend Nicole Bear, who's in the crowd, YTC helped us with a Fontes and Parental reading program. Sadly, in the 10 years of our school, our kids had never had a reading program. And I think that's an injustice to our kids. So we now have Fontes and Parental in our school. It's growing pains. Some of my teachers are like, I ain't doing that. And we're working with them. We're trying to get it done, and we're getting it done today. In the reading program already, we are better off than we were in September because our kids are making strides. They're hitting the alphabets that they need to hit, and we're good to go there. Facebook. How do we use Facebook at our school? We have a community page, a Facebook page for our school. All the teachers have the password. Anytime they want to upload pictures of their kids skiing, skating, writing, they do that. All right. Some of my teachers even have their own pages for their classroom that just their parents are on. So something you can think about within your community. Facebook. Our people don't have cars. Some of our people don't have telephones. Some of our people don't have computers, but they check their Facebook every hour. So Facebook, you can't get through to some of these parents because they won't show up on parent-teacher interview day, but they'll check their Facebook, and when you inbox them, that little thing comes up that says they read it, and we're like, score, they read it. Okay? That's how we use Facebook in our school. When using Facebook, just be aware of the negative Nellies. Everyone knows that one person that goes on there that always blames the school, always blames. And you got to monitor it because they'll write on your wall, what the hell's going on in that school? My kid got bullied today. I don't know, pick up the phone and call me, okay? And we'll talk about it. You're not going to solve anything by writing about it on Facebook, all right? So just be aware of that on Facebook. Last thing I'll talk about, everyone knows Pavlov's dog, ring the bell, dog salivates, he's going to get fed. Okay, so what we do at our school, our breaks are 10 minutes long. At the 8-minute mark of our break, music starts playing. We have iTunes, we have it programmed in, and this zombie apocalypse we call teenagers with their smartphones will just start walking once they hear the music. They'll just start, and it's unreal what Miley Cyrus can do to a 15-year-old boy, all right? They walk to class. When the music comes on, it just like Pavlov's dog. They know it's time to go get fed. They know it's time to go learn, okay? So some of those things, I'm really proud of that one. Actually, I picked that up from a school in Edmonton when I was over in the Army. I was in their hallways, and that came on, and I was like, ooh, that's good. So something simple you can do if you're having problems about kids loitering around in your hallways, use some music. Music will get them going. Get some good Powell music. Get some good Miley Cyrus, Justin Bieber, whatever. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about for our school, parents. 168 hours in a week. School only sees them for 30 hours. Are we supposed to fix every problem? No. And sometimes parents think that. Parents are like, what the hell's wrong with that school? My kid, well, we only saw him for 30 hours this week, and he wasn't even at school on Tuesday, so that's 24 hours now. So the other 138 hours in a week is the parent and guardian. Challenge your parents. Don't be scared of your parents. Challenge them. Say, you got to help us. You got to help us make them better. Not just the school. And they'll always say, yeah, you guys are paid so much. I don't care. You're paid, you're the parent. So the newsletters that go home, I'm very open about challenging my parents. And I think a lot of them may not like me, but it has to be done. All right? So don't be scared to challenge your parents. So where are we today at CKCS? We are now on year 2 of the year 3 plan. We have bad days at our school. We have days where things aren't going right. And those are days where we kind of reassess and what did we do wrong today? What are we doing right? Kakawishta to me will always be my home, and it'll always be where I'm going to get old. And the reason why I am the way I am with my kids, the kids that are in my classroom right now, those are our future teachers. Those are our future chief. Those are our future counselors. We owe it to them to give them the proper education. And if we don't, this cycle that we always want to break will never be broken. Yes, we're underfunded, so many dollars to the government. Yes, but what are we going to do about it? Let's think outside the box as educators, and let's find some solutions. So we are good to go on our reserve. We're happy where we're at. We're still not where I want to be, but we're getting there, okay? So what I'm going to talk about now, I'm going to switch away from education stuff, and I'm going to move over to my Afghanistan experience. So I'm not anti-Army. I'm not pro-Army. I'm just a guy that wanted to serve his country, and I did it. And I went and I did it. So at the end, I'm still an active reservist soldier right now. I was in the Reg Force for 5 years. And I'm not here today to get you guys' support to send us over and fight ISIS. I'm not here to do that. I'm just here to tell you a story that I know. There's 3 things I really, really hate in life. Number 1, I hate men that hit women. Number 2, I hate racism. And number 3, I hate people that can't complain all the time. There's so many people that complain. Able-bodied people sitting at home 4 days or more out of a 7-day week, they complain. And they just sit there. And they just do nothing about it but complain. And it absolutely drives me insane. If any of you to flip open your phone right now and scroll through Facebook, someone's having a bad day. Right? And they shouldn't be having a bad day. And I'm going to tell you why. So my story here starts on April 3rd, 2010. I'm not proud of where the story starts for me. It actually starts in Broadview Bar. I was home for Easter break. My uncles wanted to have a few beers with their soldiers, so we went to the bar. It opened up right at 10 a.m., and we were there having a few beers, just having a good time. Phone rings. It's Major so-and-so from my battalion in Edmonton. Evan, you got to get to Regina. Your flight leaves Regina at 2 p.m. You're flying to Edmonton. In Edmonton, you're going to meet a family. You're going to fly to Germany. Their son just stepped on an IED in Afghanistan. And he's going to die in the next, they don't know, 24 hours. So I was like, took another swig, put my beer down. I was like, whoa, this is big time. So away I went on my plane. I get to the airport. This nice Padre meets me with all my nice DEUs, which are my nice Army dress-up tie. I get changed in the bathroom, put my beret on, go out, and I meet this family. I met this mother named Ron. I met this mother named Diana and this father named Ron. And the Padre handed me a BlackBerry. Remember those? BlackBerry? So he handed me a BlackBerry. And he says, Evan, this BlackBerry here is connected to a doctor in Germany at the base in Landstuhl. If anything happens, it'll come to this BlackBerry, and you need to tell the family. And I was like, I might have to tell this family their son just died, right? So I was a little worried. Anyway, away we go on this plane, and away we go on this plane over to Munich. Someone picks us up in Munich, and away we go to meet the soldier. So I'm calling it April 3rd, 2010, a bad day was had. Okay, someone had a bad day that day, and a real bad day. Not a bad day by your check didn't get deposited on time, or your dog got ran over. This was a real bad day. I want you to meet a soldier. This soldier here, I want to introduce you to Brock Bladstruck from Grand Cache, Alberta. The biggest, baddest, meanest soldier you ever did meet. 6'4", 6'5", ready to go. You tell him to fight, he'll say, "Give me my gun, where's the enemy?" And away he goes. And that's just how he was. And you can see right here in Afghanistan, he's got about 100 pounds of equipment on, and he's ready to go. And if we told him there was Taliban over there, he's walking that way, all right? Brock grew up in Grand Cache. Obviously, cadets were part of his young career. You can see here, horse playing. Cadets kind of led him to his future profession as an Army soldier. Joined the Army, graduated, and here he is in Wainwright, Alberta, the beautiful place we call Wainwright, Alberta, which is actually the ugliest place in Canada. There's so many, there's things that happen in Wainwright. There's cows that have 3 legs that walk around in Wainwright. It's that bad there, and no one will ever tell you that. But here's Brock in Wainwright before deploying to Afghanistan on some of the training he does. And obviously, Brock with his platoon mates in Afghanistan, just some downtime right now, okay? So, April 3rd, Brock's walking down the road with his platoon, steps on an IED with his left foot, immediately blown straight up in the air. Gone are his left foot. All his backside of his body, skin is gone. And immediately that day, Brock was having a bad day. This is a picture of Brock being medevaced out into Kandahar. This is where it happened, medevaced out into Kandahar airfield, and eventually flown to Landstuhl, Germany. Before I move on, I want to say the next 3 slides are a little bit graphic, so anyone that's a little bit queasy, I would look away. This is the first picture we came to know Brock as. We walked into Landstuhl. Obviously on the left is his mother Diana, on the right is Ron. And this is what we seen when we walked into Germany. We eventually saw a soldier that had about 14 tubes going in and out of his body. The sounds that Ron made that day as the father crying are a sound I never want to hear again. This was their soldier, the oldest boy of the family. This was their man. This is the warrior, messed up, having a bad day. This is what's left of Brock's right leg, right? Now, if you notice over here, there's no left leg anymore. So, bad day. You can tell by the look on his face. He's a little pissed off, right? This is what's left of Brock's left arm. And think about this for a second. This guy has given his skin, his body for our country so that we can sit here in a nice, safe setting and enjoy ourselves at a beautiful conference like this and learn. And this guy had a bad day. And then there's people at home right now that are complaining about little things like that. This is Brock's platoon on his birthday, sending a birthday message. Anyone that's been in the Army knows that a platoon is it's all about having fun. But when it's time to go, it's time to go. This is his platoon having a little more fun. So even though it was a bad situation that put us there, the boys are still having a little bit of fun. And this is one of the last final shots before they all left Afghanistan. This is my man Brock right here on his road to recovery at the Glen Rose Hospital in beautiful Edmonton, Alberta. Smile on his face says it all. Just happy to be alive, good to go. He'll take that over the deathbed. So in closing, to close up my speech, what am I at, Chris? How many minutes am I at? Good? 5 minutes, he says. Okay. In closing, it bugs me when people complain, bitch and complain. I have a bad day probably once every 3 months. Something really happens bad, maybe it's stressful work. And it's okay to have a bad day. It really is. People have bad days. But if you're one of those persons that have a bad day 4 days or more out of a week, I'd probably check myself. Because we're sitting here right now, good to go, all beautiful, able-bodied, educated, beautiful people, and we are fighting this beautiful thing called Indian education, and we're trying to make ourselves better, right? If you know anyone that's having a bad day like that, that's totally just the most negative person outlook on life, I want you to remind them about Brock. I want them to think about this guy and what he gave for our country just to be here today. And I want you, even if you can find him and tell him to his face that you're having a bad day, because I'm sure he'll convince you you're probably not. So instead of telling it to his face, I want to take the time right now to introduce my good friend over there, Mr. Brock Blaschuk. Come on down, Brock. Come on down. Come on up, Brock. Come on. Everybody, retired Corporal Brock Blaska. It's we got brought together in an ugly incident. We got brought together when times weren't probably as good as they should be. But every time I'm having a bad day, I think about my buddy Brock. You know, Brock's here right now. His outlook on life is pretty good. If we had him mic'd up, I'd let him speak. But we took his mic away because he swears too much. So he's not allowed to speak, but he's allowed to stand here. But I just want to, in closing, I want to say that, you know, Brock is my inspiration when I'm having a bad day. You know, I have bad days, but I think about the trials and tribulations that Brock has to go through on a day-to-day basis that he did for our country. You know, him and his fiancée, Angel, who's in the crowd there, she helps him every day with his leg, and she helps him with all that good stuff. And he had a bad day. He's allowed to bitch and complain, not those people on Facebook that are able-bodied, all right? So in closing, I want to say, I'm gonna leave it with this. I read a good thing from my buddy Chris Scribe. He said, change is not made in a boardroom from people with suits and people in dresses. Change is not made by people that wear headdresses or bonnets. Change is made in the classroom. Thank you very much.